When's the next time you'd like to record?
She's going senile.
Hello and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. I'm your host Ryan, and joining me today is Liz.
Hi.
And Brittany.
Hello.
And today we're going to be doing another new reader. This is all about Ultimate Collection Volume 4. So this is the hardcover edition of Volume 4. This covers issues 36 to 47. And before we jump into that, there's a couple little things we want to go over. San Diego Comic-Con just happened, and unfortunately Invincible did not win the nomination for Best Continuing Series. That went to Southern Bastards, I believe, but it's still great to be nominated, and there's always next year. One awesome thing that came out of San Diego Comic-Con was on a panel, Kirkman was actually asked about Invincible in other mediums, whether that be TV, movie, book, whatever. And his response was, "Something is coming, be patient." Now, Liz and Brittany, now that you've read a good chunk of Invincible, if Invincible was to become something animated, I mean, I've talked about this for a while with Bill and TJ, but I haven't talked to either of you about that. Would you be down with Invincible being like an animated movie or a live action movie or anything like that?
I'd rather see live action movie than animated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how they could do a live action.
That's the discussion, whether or not it'd be possible. Because even like where you guys are at now, I mean, obviously, if it were to become a movie, whether animated or live, it'd probably include stuff that you've already read up to. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'd be hardcover volume 1 up to the fight with his dad, or maybe a little bit past that or something.
I'd really actually think I prefer like an episodic involvement of it, just because there is so much. I feel like a movie would just destroy it. I mean, I know everyone feels like that if it's like made off of a book or something, but it's just
never
like,
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't necessarily want a movie animated or live action. You just want it to be episodic, because it does tailor to episodic. That is a good point. And when Bill and I talked about it, we mentioned there you go, Bill, there's your shout out. We talked about how it'd be great as like Game of Thrones style, like, you know, short, concise, like, you know, to the point. But lately I have been leaning more towards animated, because things like, think of, we need a younger version of Rex. We need Monster Girl aging backwards, and like there's a lot of things that'd be really tricky to do live action. Not to mention the special effects.
Well, I was saying
and all
budget-wise,
budget-wise.
exactly. That would just get.
I mean, in a perfect world, and that's kind of the conclusion Bill and I come to. I mean, in a perfect world, live action would be amazing.
Exactly.
At this point, I'd be happy if we got like an hour and a half animated movie. You know, like DC puts out a lot of those, you know, animated movies lately, and I'm kind of thinking that might be the route they're going to go. But just knowing that, you know, as Kirkman says, you know, something is coming, that's great. That's really cool. So, or that's really exciting. They said another, not necessarily Invincible related, but Kirkman and, you know, Skybound are doing 2 other shows that they announced that they were going to be working on. One of them is a Korean drama called 5 Years. Interesting concept, though. It's about it's following a family, and it's going to take place over 5 years. It might be 5 seasons long, but it's about a family who is living in a world where they can see an asteroid coming that's going to destroy Earth in 5 years. How does Earth and this family cope and deal with it?
That sounds horrific.
Doesn't it sound awful?
I wouldn't even want to think about that.
And this is a show?
And that's a show. Yep, a K-drama, Korean drama. So he's working with, you know, that whole scene to do that. But interesting, though. Wasn't there a, what's his name from The Office? Drawing a blank.
Steve Carell?
Steve Carell. There was a Steve Carell and Keira Knightley movie about that.
The Friend?
Yes, Finding Friends at the End of the World or something like that. And it was all about, like, right before. And again...
I've never seen that movie because of that.
Yeah, it's very...
I don't want to have to think about it.
It's very uncomfortable.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. Interesting ideas, but very uncomfortable. And then the other show that they're going to be developing is called Chronicles of Amber. It's an adaptation of a book that apparently is a lot like Game of Thrones, and that's all I know about it. So that should be interesting. But other than that, things that came out of San Diego Comic-Con, Ottley had a lot of cool sketches that he put up on Twitter and Instagram, a really cool Joker one, some really great stuff. And as far as emails and such, we actually got a new iTunes review. This is from Possum Grease. And it says, now if we can get an Invincible animated show, ... which is what we already talked about. And in parentheses, great podcast, by the way. So thank you, Possum Grease. Remember, you can go to iTunes, subscribe, leave us a review. And if you want to send us an email, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter. You can find us wherever. So let's jump right into it. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So previously, when we talked about Volume 3, there was one thing we forgot to mention, and we realized it after we finished recording. There was one page that we skipped over that showed Rick Sheridan going up to D.A. Sinclair as a Reaniman, and you could see like a tear going down his cheek, and D.A. Sinclair wiping it away or something like that. And so we got confirmation at the end of Volume 3 that Rick Sheridan has been turned into a Reaniman, and he is bringing D.A. Sinclair people to experiment on. So let's jump into this. I guess, starting with issue 36, we get a brief scene of Rex pining over Eve because he found out that Immortal is marrying Duplicate. And you get to see him pining a little bit and saying that he would have wanted to marry someone like Eve. And
his brooding is acceptable because of his background.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember.
Yep. And then we get to see Invincible and William have a moment where they're, William's giving Mark a hard time about skipping classes and everything like that, which he does a lot in this volume. What?
No, because I've actually said it before of how annoying William is. He's like Mark's other girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
oh yeah.
But like you said, they kind of decide to come together.
Yeah.
Mark decides to help him, and so they've starting to move on together as
because the last few scenes we've seen, it's been William saying, "Hey, what about Rick? Hey, and Mark's been off saving the world. But now William has a plan, and he's going to dress up like
a hobo.
A hobo. And I love the scene of them. He's like, "You're not going to fall asleep, right?" And he's like, No, I'm not going to fall asleep. And then Invincible's like, "You fell asleep, didn't you?" And then like a second later, you see Invincible sleeping.
I like the particular shot where the Reaniman is carrying William over his shoulder, and he gives Mark the thumbs up, like, "Yeah, man, it's happening."
It worked.
He's so proud of himself.
Mm-hmm. During this, we got to see the return of Doc Seismic. He came back with these lava men, and the real important thing that came out of that was that Shapesmith pretty much joined the team.
Yeah, didn't he show up as the twin, and it freaked
Demoler.
everybody out? And,
Yep. And we cut back to Invincible attacking with the Reaniman attacking Invincible, and Invincible realizing that Rick Sheridan is one of them. And
that was a great scene.
Yeah, so that scene that goes right into the next issue where we get William basically tied up.
He's waiting for Invincible to come rescue him any minute now. Like, oh crap, what's happening?
Yep.
Because Invincible almost loses him in the tunnel system, and then he's fighting, and
and then DA gives him a shot and he can't move, and so Invincible busts in, and we get the scene of Rick as one of the Reanimen is trying to fight back, and William's telling him, like, he kind of like snaps Rick out of it.
Finally. Well, because Mark had tried to, but he wasn't getting through.
Yeah.
And then it was finally William who made that connection. So I thought that was really like an important detail of their relationship.
Yeah, which is why I brought up how last issue you see him crying a little bit. It kind of shows that there's something.
He's still there.
He's still inside there. Yeah, exactly. So they, Mark saves the day, but he starts to lose his temper a little bit, and he like slaps or backhands or whatever D.A. Sinclair and like breaks his jaw.
I thought he was dead at that moment.
Yeah.
I wish he was.
and that's what Mark says. He talks to Cecil about like, I hope he gets what he deserves and everything. And yeah, that was a whole deal. During this, we actually got to see Robot and Amanda, Monster Girl, go out on a date, and we got to see the scene with them at a trying to sneak into an R-rated movie and buy tickets.
That was brilliant.
Yeah,
He's so smart.
I loved all the scenes with them in this. Like they started being real cute, and
Yeah.
I just love how he manipulates the situation to get exactly what he wants, and he always will because he's just that smart.
yeah. And then when Monster Girl says that she's impressed or how'd you do it, he starts to get all technical and she's like, all right, don't blow it, like.
It's so real.
Yeah.
And then Mark and Amber get in an argument because Mark sees Amber with Gary, and he starts to get a little like, why? Well, he's like, why weren't you gonna tell? Were you gonna tell me about him? And she's like, why were you at the window? Not to go to the window. And they start
totally changed the subject.
Yeah, well, we start to see a little bit of an argument brewing here, and you both.
And I'm like, yeah.
You both have read
so
this.
excited.
Yep. So you both read this whole volume, so you know where this is going, but you see the seed planted.
Yeah.
Like this things are on shaky ground, and
Yeah, because it was not only were you going to tell me you were talking to this guy, were you going to tell me that you had this guy in your room and you're sitting on your bed. That's a very intimate situation.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Not okay, Amber.
Yep.
Not okay.
So we find out that that Rick and William are all right from the attack. That Rick's gonna be okay. I'm sorry. And where is it? This is, I think, when Rick actually talks to Donald. Maybe not. No, not yet.
Not yet. That's a little bit later.
But we find out that William's all right, and then we get a scene with D.A. Sinclair in a jail cell.
I was so mad. And I was
somebody's
like,
somebody's talking to him, saying that they're not going to be penalized as long as they agree to their terms. And Cecil offers him a job.
I thought I liked Cecil.
Thank you. Thank you for saying this.
I
Because
thought I liked him.
I've been waiting for the ball to drop with Cecil. And this is a character flaw.
You were right.
The government reigns supreme. Parking in the rear, friends.
But I thought that was great. You said early on that you thought that there was something shady about him, and you didn't like it. But I mean, this is this isn't the end of, this is the beginning of this volume. Like, things are still okay, but you kind of get to see a peek behind the curtain of how things are starting to be run and might be laying the groundwork for things to come.
Right.
So.
I mean, I know Cecil's thinking about how I can protect Earth because he obviously knows everything that's going on, but I still think it's more than that.
Yeah.
Which hopefully that storyline, of course, I'm sure will be addressed, but
yeah.
I look forward to reading that one.
And then the next issue opens up. We get to see Alan. We haven't seen Alan we haven't seen him since he got messed up.
I know. I was so excited. I wrote Alan in hearts by his name.
Oh.
I was so excited to see him again. And then he's like super strong. He like busted out of the thing. I'm like, whoa, Alan.
You nerd.
So that's awesome. Yeah, we find out that he's actually stronger. He's like almost impervious. Like he gets stronger, and
Which is funny about it because he's just like, hello.
Yeah.
Is anyone here? And he's just out.
There's a scene
What's
later
open?
on that of him just kind of like thinking to himself, and he's such. They portray him as kind of like this simple-minded, like goofy, like he's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just a nice guy,
Well, that's why we like him.
Thaddeus comes in and talks to him, telling him that he's gotten so much stronger. He's comparable to, I can never say
Viltrumites.
I always want to say Vermiculolites. I don't know why. I'm so sorry. So anyway, and then Alan's asking him like, how do you know this? Like, what are you comparing it to? And then the reveal.
Yeah. So the leader of the coalition of planets, Thaddeus, is a Viltrumite.
But then I was like, I obviously know he's not the one feeding the information.
You're right, because there was that
But I think he would have a really good idea as to who was, the snitch. But anyway,
I forgot about the snitch. You're right. There's still that person on the coalition. So he was the first Viltrumite to leave, and so he wants Alan to basically get Mark's help and find out more information.
I hope that's real. I really hope that's real. I hope this isn't like, because I can't help but be skeptical and think about that this has been in place because of, ways to manipulate planets or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the big picture of how twisted things
you don't want the Viltrumites to have a inside man in charge of the coalition of planets who can then go to all the other planets in the coalition and turn them. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them.
All right. But it's all right. Alan and Thaddeus are going to take care of business.
Yep. We get a quick scene of Rick, who's now, part robot, dealing with the fact that he's part robot, feeling like he's never going to be normal, and having a neat conversation with Donald, who we don't get to see that often. And Donald is 98% robot.
Yeah, he unearths his whole chest, and I was like, whoa.
Yep.
So I didn't expect
he's a character primarily from Brit, and I recently read Volume 1 of Brit. Bill has it now.
I would say shout out to Billy because he's reading it. He was like, "Where's Brit?" So,
yep. And
I was like, "Who? Oh, Brittany, I know."
I'm like,
yep.
I'm over here.
Yeah. And what Donald refers to here actually happens in that volume, so that's kind of cool. So it's a neat little tie-in.
I love those tie-ins.
Oh yeah, they're great. There's so many of them too. I'm not trying to overwhelm you guys though. We're gonna kind of stick with.
But
some
no,
of the core
it opens
stuff.
you up to try to read something different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then we get Amber talking to her friends, all about how her friends don't really know Mark, and they think that she might like Gary because a twinkle in her eye.
Twinkle.
Well, you can't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he goes to their school. They see him all the time. Or I would assume.
And they don't see Mark because he's off, saving the world and disappearing.
Lately in space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
but then he comes and busts in, right?
Yeah, he shows up and he's like, "Hey guys," I love that you're pointing at him pointing, yeah. And Amber's like, "How much of that did you hear?" And I love this line. He's like, remember, I don't have super hearing. And she's like, "Oh, right, that's right." Another nod to Superman. Like he doesn't have the same powers as Superman. He's not Superman.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't.
Yeah,
that's what that connection.
Yeah, that's what that little nudge was.
But I like how he invites everybody. Like, come on, everyone, you gotta get to know me. So so you can like me.
Mm-hmm. He takes them out bowling and see a movie and stuff like that, and so we get to see also a quick scene of the Lizard League rising to power. Their leader was in prison, but he broke out during the Doc Seismic attack, and he's now rising to power, and he's kind of rallying them up. So that's a tease of what's coming.
Yeah, I really didn't understand that right away. Because it came out of nowhere.
Well, first I didn't know, are they watching a TV show?
Oh.
I thought maybe something like that.
Oh, yeah. Because this kind of looks like a very G.I. Joe kind of setting.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, well, maybe it's on a different planet. I was really trying to get the context. And same thing, I, looked back a couple pages. Did I miss something again? But then I just had to have faith and keep going that,
I was confused.
Yeah.
And it is very Hydra. Doesn't it feel kind of like Hydra?
Does.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, we get to see Oliver. This is the first time we've seen Oliver since he was really, really little, barely talking, and he's kind of talking. He's forming sentences.
Kind of talking. They said that he's at a 7th grade reading level.
Yeah, so he's
really excelling quickly.
Really.
Well, that was my favorite part though when he was introduced back. Debbie is saying how. Pretty much being a mom, telling him what to do, and he's like, "Okay, I love you, Mommy Debbie."
Yeah, he calls her.
So
he calls her Mommy Debbie.
Yeah, and just her little smirk smile at the end of that section. Of course, we know she took Oliver in. It was going to be a weigh on her emotionally, but to actually see that he loves her. You can see love there, and
Yeah.
she's repairing.
Yep.
You know, she's starting to get back to her normal self.
Mm-hmm.
Not drinking.
Not drinking.
That's right. That's right. It seemed like this was the thing she needed in a way. And we get a quick tease of the Squids coming. They're on the rise. They're heading from Mars in this giant ship, and Russ is under the Squid control, and he's on his way to take over Earth. And then after that, we get a shot of the Guardians of the Globe, and Immortal shows up, and him and Duplicate just got married.
Yep.
They just went off and got married, and what?
The one of the clips. What are they called?
Button?
No, like
Piano?
Oh, panels.
panels. Thank you. So one of the panels when they're all happy, that one button bothers the hell out of me because it looks like her nipple.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because the buttons are going from the left to
Yeah.
the down right. Yep.
It just bothered me.
Poor
But
Rex.
he looks so happy though.
No, yeah. Immortal is obviously super happy. Rex is still sad.
Well, he just keeps screwing up relationships. He deserves it.
Yeah. And then while they're all celebrating, Cecil shows up and says, "Oh, there's an attack coming from a ship coming from Mars," and Shapesmith is like, yeah, I know."
What's happening?
I know what's going on.
He's sweating.
Yeah. And then
There's been something I've been hiding.
what did you guys think of the end of this issue? So this issue ends. Mark just decides to go visit Eve on a whim. He shows up in Africa.
The fact that he went on a whim.
Yeah, there's nothing that precursed this, because the last time we see Mark,
He's with Amber.
he's with Amber.
And things ended really well.
And things ended well. She kind of was like, "No, we can't play tonight," and they kind of, leaves it
they
at
were
that.
flirting
Yeah. And then on a whim, he just wanted to see her. They go up, they hug. There's this awkward moment where they just stare at each other. And then,
Big picture.
Boom.
Kissing. I loved it.
I was like, Mark fucking kisses Eve. Finally.
it's the art in this is beautiful. Such a great shot. It's so good.
I was so happy when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I again closed.
Close it
Look
because
at
it was
this
like,
point.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, I'm good. I knew this was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or so I thought.
Yep.
No.
But immediately after that,
I always get mad though. After an epic moment like that, you want it to continue, but then there's so much story. You're like,
yeah, because we find out everything with Shapesmith, and he's like, "Hey, I know why they're coming. It's the Sequids, blah blah blah." Cecil flips out on him, and we do get to go back directly to that moment though, and of the
pretty
kiss,
quickly.
and there's that awkward like,
Oh, wait a minute. You were kissing me? I was kissing you? What?
yeah. And I love this page of Mark having to go, and he's like, "Okay, Eve can come." So, him and Eve are flying, and he's like, "I'm gonna have to fly faster than you can go. So here, take my hand." And you get this awesome panel of them holding hands, even though he's essentially just carrying her, but she's looking at his hand as they're holding hands, and it's great. Just the look on her face, like, oh.
Yeah, like we gotta talk about this.
Because Mark says, he's like, "I'm in love with Amber. I'm with Amber. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. That's, it's okay. Like, can we talk about this later? We have to go."
Yeah, and I was like, poor Eve.
Yeah.
So Cecil comes up with a team. He has a strike team to go into space because the Sequids can attach to humans and control them. So it only can be certain people that, have impenetrable skin.
Yeah.
Or like Eve or a robot can make themselves impenetrable. And then on the way into space, we get a fun revelation about, with Monster Girl and Robot talking, and he asks her.
Is this the Rudy conversation?
Yeah, he asks her to call him Rudy.
I was like, what?
Rudy Robot.
Just Rudy.
Just Rudy. Yeah, I like that. And while they're traveling through space, we get to see Amber's response to all of this.
Mine was that bitch.
So she's angry. She's freaking out. She's throws her phone, smashes her phone. She's just unhappy with the fact that he has to go to space again.
But you want to know what? He didn't, again, just leave. As soon as he knew he was leaving, he's like, I have to call my mom, I have to call Amber. Like, he was completely responsible about it. What's going on? She knows the deal. So,
I mean, is this essentially like a long-distance relationship?
Right.
I mean, at least she gets to see him every now and then, but, I mean...
Or she's married to a farmer.
During summer.
During summer.
Aw.
So I think she's just being very selfish.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't just, like, a long-distance relationship or something like that where...
No, I mean,
at least she gets to see him every now and then,
yeah,
but
and
it's just not enough for her.
It's not enough for her, but he's off saving the world. Like, you can't... Come on.
Yeah. So...
I mean, this has been a consistent problem. You know, so it's not anything new.
No, but like we get...
But now that Gary's in the picture, she's thinking about things a little bit differently.
Because in that scene, she picks up the phone and calls Gary. Because Gary's there.
Hence,
Mark's not.
The bitch.
Cheating whore. I always hated Amber. Always. Never liked
that
her.
name. I don't like the
Amber.
name Amber.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think I know any Ambers.
I knew one.
I don't know. It just sounds
There was
like...
one.
There was one, and it applies.
Prissy.
Yeah, it applies.
All right, so we've got two things going on now. So this is a point in this volume in which two major events are going to be happening. We've got a team of the Guardians going into space to intercept the Squids, and we've got the Lizard League taking over a missile silo in the desert, and the B team, I guess you can call them, the other Guardians, are sent in to stop them. So that issue, though, ends with, the ship being blown up and Eve having to make a bubble to keep everybody alive.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, Eve's power. Because we know
Right?
she's been really learning how to manipulate it, use it. And I was astounded. I was like, go Eve.
Well, yeah, because they never really showed her what she can do, like, in battle, I guess you can say, in battle, but...
Yeah, she left too soon. Before we really got to see her.
Yeah, and you've seen her make, like, a wall to stop something, or, like, something heavy, or
an apple.
Yeah, or food, or,
Yeah.
like... but it's kind of cool, like, her thinking on her feet. She has really awesome powers, and it's
And a
cool
butt.
getting... Well, yeah, and an awesome butt.
Well, I know. Look at it. And the panel that I'm looking at cuts it right there.
Oh.
So it, like...
Oh, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, so it, like, mirrors her butt in the middle of the panel.
TNA.
TNA. All over.
And then there's poor little
Put some
monster
gravy
girl.
on it.
Aw, monster.
I
Poor
know.
little monster girl.
Amanda.
Amanda.
So, and speaking of Eve's powers, after she makes that bubble, she has to push it up against the ship. After they, all the flyers push it up against the ship, and she seals it, and then they break through, and she's like ready to pass out.
Yeah. And then the onslaught of Squid.
Just the wave of Squids come into there. During this, we've got the Lizard League attacking, and Shrinking Ray sneaks past the defenses, opens the door, and we get this awesome shot of Rexplode and all the duplicates just pouring in, and Rex is blowing them up with his ignited batons and everything. And they're a little over their head. I don't think they expected what happens here. What is it?
Oh, I was just pointing out Kate's duplicates butt in another panel.
It's all about butts.
It's given some extra care. It looks extra.
It's those.
Cheeks are separated, so you could grab. That's what it
Those
looks
spandex.
The spandex.
It's the spandex. But yeah, I actually really like seeing some of duplicates destroyed.
Yeah.
Because I got nervous for a second. I was like, oh, what if the original gets destroyed? But then they answer.
And she
you
says it right
immediately.
away. She's like, "It's okay as long as one of me survive."
Yeah.
And because she's just getting wrecked. She has copies just getting their heads cut off, smashed. She's just pulled apart.
But you don't really get to see her either. Like, this is the first time, really, that she...
Yeah,
seen a lot.
you see her like in the background fighting. You just see her like throwing a punch or something.
I like little clips like this.
Yeah.
Where you can actually see them separately or like with
last big fight, Immortal like was being super protective over her and was like flying her away.
Oh yeah.
And she was getting so mad. But in this one, we see Rex just being like, "Okay, just be careful."
Yeah.
So you can see the difference of how they treat girls.
And then we cut to space. We see that Russ is, fighting back. Eve puts on her helmet and seals up so the Sequids can't get to her.
I was going to ask if that's why. I just didn't know if it was like giving her something extra that she needed since she was weak, like a power up, or I just didn't know.
Like if you notice her legs are completely covered, her fingers are covered, everything is completely covered. She makes kind of like this suit that's impenetrable. And Robot devises a plan. He finds out that there's a way that he can stop the Sequids by transmitting this
a wavelength,
a sound wave that stops the Sequids. During all of this death and destruction and chaos, we get to see Amber go on a little date night with Gary. They go to the movies.
He's faking that phone call. It's fake.
You think he's faking that phone call? He gets called away to go to work, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm with you tonight," and that's exactly what Amber wants right now.
And they've talked about a boyfriend, this and that, so that's
and Gary knows that Mark's never around.
Absolutely.
So
that's what I said. I was like, I think it could be a fake phone call. It could have been. I don't know.
Cut to one of my favorite parts in all of Volume 4 is this Lizard League fight just gets so intense with Rexplode, and he just is putting up such a fight, and duplicates are just getting destroyed, and he kills the last of them, and Shrieking Ray freaks out, and Rex is obviously freaking out, and Shrieking Ray jumps at, I think his name's Komodo, and he just eats him. He just appetizer and just eats Shrieking Ray. Yeah. So there goes. Yeah. What do you got?
Oh no, I was gonna say, because this is at this point too. I said, oh my gosh, seeing Kate being destroyed was like completely epic. And then I'm like, did Kate just die? Did Ray just die?
Yeah.
He eats part of Rex's arm.
Yeah, he bites Rex's arm while it's like igniting something, and then his head blows up. It's like you go into this and it's like, the B team's gonna go stop this stupid Lizard League, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Yeah, I said it's the most epic page turning since the Nolan and Mark fight for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I had to keep going, and I was so invested in all of these characters, and then all of a sudden when they die, I was like, oh my gosh, what's
like, oh wait, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah. I thought that was like,
yep,
it was just excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, seeing half of her torso being thrown, oh my gosh, it was too much.
Yep, it was crazy.
In a good way.
But yeah, I loved him losing his hand, blowing up Komodo's head, and then Rex thinks he's okay, and the leader steps out from the shadows and puts a gun to his head, and that's the last thing we see of him in that issue. Meanwhile, Eve on the planet or on the ship is trying to hold up this force field for everybody to stop the Sequids, and she's passing out because she's just pushing herself too much. So it was a very intense issue.
And then she actually does pass out.
Yeah, and then, oh crap, what do we do now?
Yep. So that was a great cliffhanger. I loved that
was
issue.
A great issue. Yeah, great issue.
I remember we were at work, and Brittany, you had just finished the issue before that, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for her to read the next one. It's so crazy, just everything that happens with Rex and everything.
Yeah, that was an intense issue. And then it's crazy because the next one, it's like.
Yeah,
hooray,
I love
what the hell
I love how the cover of issue 41 is Invincible at a parade.
Yeah,
and that scene is never in that issue, but they talk about the parade.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really cool. So Robot's device, the plan works. He stops Russ, and they get him off the ship.
And Shapesmith really helps out in that.
Yeah, Shapesmith does help out, which is why I think that when they're escaping the ship, they want to execute Shapesmith because he was a traitor to the Martians, and they're like, let's go. And it shows them, and then like Invincible takes off out of the ship and like helps destroy the attacking spaceships, and it was a really cool scene with that. But we go back to Rex now. See, there's so much going on with these issues, bouncing back and forth. But now we go back to Rex and the Lizard League, and the last thing we saw is he has a gun to Rex's head, the leader of the Lizard League, and he actually shoots him in the head.
He shoots him, but then he keeps going. And my note was like, is Rex dead? Is he not dead? He lived? Oh my god.
Like he's going nuts. Like he's covered in blood, and it's just
Adrenaline.
Pure
Yes.
adrenaline.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, it's only a matter of steps.
Or he would have. I kind of had that thought of, do we have another immortal on our hands?
Oh.
And then I was like, well, no. Then I found out.
He just passes out and he's done. So yeah, and then Mark goes back to Earth after saving the day in space from the Squids. He kind of goes up and sees Amber and Gary talking to each other on the bed.
Oh yeah, his spying.
Yeah, he kind of spies on him in the window.
Well, then it lets him in on,
Well,
now's the time,
And not only that, but as he says, and afterwards he goes up and talks to her. He says, "I heard you talking to Gary, and you said, I know you didn't cheat on me. I know you guys were just friends." Like she was telling Gary in that scene, like, "No, I have a boyfriend. I'm with Mark."
Right.
And Gary, because at this point Gary was actually trying to, like say, "Hey, where's this Mark? Why aren't we together?" But then we actually get a scene where Mark asks Eve to talk, and she's like, "Yeah, I actually want to talk to you too." And they break up officially.
And it was amicable.
It was, and I actually, like, for all the crap we give,
I mean, that's very real.
Well, yeah. And for all the crap we give Amber and stuff like that, I thought it was a really great breakup. I mean, he kind of lays it out and says, "Yeah, I haven't been there. This isn't what you signed up for, and I get that you want someone that's around more often, but this is just how it is." And they both know that. And she even says that I was going to say the exact same thing. Besides the Eve part, because Mark tells her that he might explore things with Eve. So
I don't think he needed to say that.
But
I like that he says everything,
Yeah.
Like,
it is very open. It shows that they were friends.
And it's only fair because he knew that this Gary guy has
feel
been
like
hanging around.
Oh, you're right.
Just like
You're
another
right.
little dig. Like,
no, well, I feel like it was his way of saying it's okay if you want to.
You're right,
He was
because I
Gary
feel
right away.
because I feel like wouldn't Amber feel like, oh, I can't, be with Gary because then he'll know that I liked him while I was with you.
Eve, then I can be with Gary.
Yeah. It was a nice amicable.
Could give her.
You're right. We get to see a quick scene of Immortal mourning Kate, and he says, "Oh, I wish we could have found her brother to go to the service," and that was a neat little thing. Yeah. And then and we find out that Rex is okay. Mark goes to visit him, and Rex is like, "Yeah, you got a parade, and where's my parade? I saved the world too," and just kind of like messing with him. And I kind of liked Rex here. This was a point in which I liked him kind of being a dick, because it's like he just got the shit kicked out of him, witnessed 2 of his teammates die, and then like he's still kind of joking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the only connection that Mark can really make with him is broke up with my girlfriend and been there.
Yep. And then we see the end of this issue, Russ Livingston back in his apartment.
The Squid lives.
Yeah, it never ends. So the Squids are back. He actually coughs one up.
ew.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. And he he or whatever says it might take 5 years if it has to, but the Squids will be back. So
It looks like the guy I passed on the way here.
Oh, really?
Puking at the bar.
Out of the nose and everything.
It is coming out of his nose too.
Yeah.
God, gross. Next issue starts with Mark standing on the moon, and I wrote this down as a note because I liked this. He was just kind of talking about how bored he was and everything like that, and then we cut to
back on duty, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of like
Yeah.
doing the grunt work. And we cut to these astronauts talking about him. And I liked this conversation with the astronauts because it was we don't get to see normal people, talk much about the superhero world. And they have this, these two astronauts have this conversation about how, do you trust him after what his dad did? And the other astronaut's like, oh, he's the one that stopped his dad, everything that he's done. And it was just neat seeing the two of them kind of disagree in a way. Like one doesn't trust Mark at all, and the other one does. And it was just cool because we get to see this third astronaut show up, and she's talking about how I was on Mars and he saved my life. So if you want to talk crap about him, don't do it around me, and whatnot. And then we just cut to like Mark standing there with his hands on his sides, and it was just really dopey looking. And I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, because it just shows how everyone has a different, story and what's important to them, and whatever's happening in that situation is just the most epic situation. But in another parallel storyline, it's just,
Yeah. Then
what am I gonna do today?
Yep. Mark gets called away. There's a giant attacking the city who wants to become president of the world. And
but in a really dumb way.
yeah, he's just really funny. And then and we later find out Cecil tells him that he was actually an 8-year-old boy who was cursed by a witch in another dimension or something. And Cecil's like, trust me, I can't make this stuff up.
I thought that was
But
really
his
funny.
tagline was back. Didn't he say, like, I'm invincible again? Or
Oh,
something?
yeah. And
I loved that.
We get a talk between Mark and William. And what was this mostly about? I have it written down. I think Mark is just getting frustrated with school because a lot of this volume has a lot to do with Mark just can't take school anymore. He couldn't handle, being in a relationship with Amber. He wasn't around enough. He's off saving the world. And on top of all this, he's still going through college. And,
Well, yeah, and then he's talking about, too, how instead of focusing on school, he's trying to read his father's books.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Because he's trying to obviously learn how to defeat them. So it's just that's on top of saving the world, doing other things, he's still doing research and reading those books.
And then he has to be roommates with someone
Whiny
like William who goes and says, oh, what if I hook up with Amber? And
Just
I
I liked him for one moment, and that was it. Then I wanted to punch him. Oh yeah, here's the Invincible. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah. He says, I'm invincible, and then he's like, I really got to stop using that I'm invincible line. We got to see a great scene with Debbie talking about how she really loves Oliver.
Yeah.
And talking to Mark about him. And Oliver's like, he looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah, he went from being 8 to being 12 in the matter of weeks, if that.
Yep, he's growing really fast. And he wants to play baseball with Mark. Mark throws the ball over his head, and Oliver is now flying.
Surprised Mark.
I thought that was cute. I thought that was like an awesome way to introduce him getting his powers.
Yeah, and I as soon as I saw this end panel, I was just like, I cannot wait to see some side-by-side flying, them doing things. I can't wait to see Oliver's gotta be getting a costume. Something's gonna be happening. So this is the first moment where I got really excited for what's coming.
Which is also something to add to Mark's schedule, is probably
now he's got a brother to
Yes.
yeah, so he's got a lot going on. We get to see that's pretty much where that picks up too. The next issue picks up with Mark talking about how he needs a mentor. He needs somebody to teach him because Debbie's like, no flying in the house. You can't do that. You know,
typical mom stuff.
Yeah, well,
she said she's back. She's like when she sees that Oliver's flying, she's like, oh, that didn't take long. Like, again, no sweat off my back.
She's a champ.
Yeah.
Yep, and she knows she's worried because he's so young still, young with powers, and what that could lead to, and another reason why Mark wants to quit school so badly. But during this, we find out that Alan is back to Earth. Him and Immortal go at it a little bit because there's a misunderstanding.
then Mark comes in, gets them to stop, but I love his comment of, "Oh, you're beefier."
Oh yeah. Yep. When Alan's trying to talk him into going to Telescria and
yes, talking to Thaddeus and
that's when Alan scans the books because I love it because Mark was like Alan says I want you to come to the coalition or to Telescria or whatever and to meet with Thaddeus, and Invincible's like no, I've been in space twice. I can't do this anymore. He's like, he just flat out says, no, I don't have to fight you, do I? Like,
right.
Are we going to fight? Is this going to happen? Like, because I'm not going. But in the end, it worked out for Alan because he got some information. He found out about his brother. He found out about the books.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And did they have a conversation about his dad? Like how he's being imprisoned?
Yes, that too. You're right.
So that was another
clue for Alan to kind of know what's going on. So he does get a lot of information. I love William walking in and seeing Alan and just freaking out and running out the door.
And I love the panel, the next panel, because again it's showing that same artwork.
Oh yeah,
to fill space, but same face, different words. It's great.
Mm-hmm. In that issue, Immortal quits the Guardians.
Yeah.
He says he needs to take a leave because he's just.
Well, I mean, after everything with Kate and then with that confrontation with Alan.
Yeah, he feels like he's not in the game.
He's not in the right mind. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So then Cecil.
Yeah.
Butthead. Oh, let's give it back to Robot.
Yeah, let's call it.
Whatever. I mean, it's fine. I don't mind Robot being back into being the leader, but it's just man, Cecil.
Yeah, you think? Yep. What did you think of how this issue ended? It ends with Mark in his room. Someone knocks at the door. William goes to get it, and it's Eve.
It was great.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I like how that ended.
I don't know what to think of it because it's like she's like, so are we dating or what?
Well, you figure she already went through, being with him, like fighting, and I mean they're pretty close. So,
I think it's because
let's figure this shit out.
I think it's because of the kiss, right? I mean,
well, yeah.
So after the kiss, she was like, all right, well, is this a thing? And Mark's the one that's like, no, I'm with Amber. So now that there's no Amber.
Knows.
Yeah. So she kind of shows up and,
I like it because it's like...
shows her feisty side.
It kind of does.
I'm taking what I want and I want you. FYI. So I was like, get it, girl.
Yep.
And her hand on her hip.
That's what I mean. It's really sassy.
Yep. And because again, you see her as more of like a humanitarian, wants to help.
Yep.
So to actually see her demanding something was really fun.
All right. So now, from both of your perspectives, how did you like the conversation that followed? Eve says, I want to be with you. This is what I wanted for a long time. We can make this work, and so on. And then Mark says, I know you wanted this because you told me. I met the future you. And she said that, and she told me how you were obsessed with me. And Eve responds with, were you, did you have feelings for me before future me told me? Are you feeling guilty? Is this why? And Mark kind of says, I don't think so.
Well, unless he doesn't know. He never really.
But then he kind of quickly goes, he backpedals and like, well, yes, I do have feelings for you. And then she just kind of.
Well, at that point, absolutely.
Freezes up.
If that was me in that situation and obviously, someone has feelings for you, it's like. How it was in middle school. Oh, I found out a boy liked me, so I'm gonna like him too. But
that's funny. That's actually very good.
That's how it goes.
But he had a terrible choice of words.
He sure did.
Obsessed. I probably would have gotten pissed too.
Yeah.
You don't say obsessed. She just loved him.
Yeah, no girl wants to be known as obsessed or possessive.
Absolutely not.
I know, but I thought this writing was genius.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love this conversation. And I love how just Mark really puts it out there that, you told me. Again, he doesn't hold anything back.
No.
I really like that about his character.
Yeah.
You know, he's very
He really does.
honest,
He doesn't keep
truthful,
anything from anybody. You know what? You're right, and that's something that I'm noticing in rereading this that I never really got before. Like, he is extremely honest.
Yeah.
And he tells everybody like it is.
And of course I felt crushed for Eve, like, because finding out that he might not have had real or legitimate feelings for her, or they're only there because he knew about them.
Yeah.
Like, that's crushing, because she has cared for him for a long time. And she's been respectful, for the most part, of, you know, his other relationships.
But in his defense, he didn't really know because she was with Rex.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was just being a stupid boy. Can we just stupid boy who didn't know, and then just kind of put her in the friend zone. No one deserves to be put in the friend zone.
Yeah. I don't know. It made me angry. I was like, we were so close.
We're so close, right?
But
Yep.
so far away now.
Well, yeah, I know. Especially like near the end of that conversation, there's a panel of her just looking with.
And she's so silent. Like, right after that, she's just kind of like shocked, and she's not angry or sad. She's just kind of like stone faced, and then she just kind of like turns and walks out. And then you find out like William passed her in the hall, and he's like, I think she was crying. And then Mark's like, oh,
what did I do?
yeah.
Yeah, stupid boy.
Dumbass.
Exactly. Go after her.
But like you said, great writing, very real. You know,
yeah.
very real. And you know when Kirkman does scenes that are real, because you like feel it and you're like, ooh, you know, it's like gut wrenching. Also in this issue, we find out that Debbie isn't really having issues with relationships.
But you know, actually, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Like, the exchange between her and April, which is the tutor,
Yep.
you know, like, seemed really friendly. So then all of a sudden, when she starts telling Mark that she met someone, I'm like, is it April?
No way, really?
Like, yeah, that's like, I don't know why I thought that, but I totally was like, ooh, but.
No, that's great. That's a great observation. I didn't think that, but that's
Didn't even cross my
totally
mind.
founded. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, after dealing with such a terrible man, why not?
Yeah.
But
No,
anyway.
she found a guy named Paul, and she was excited to tell Mark about it. And Mark's happy for her. And then a Viltrumite stands next to him and says, "Come with me, or I'll kill your mother."
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, shit just got real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so her name is Anissa.
Anissa.
Anissa. Yep. She shows up, and what did you think of her speech? She kind of talks about how, like, Viltrumites taking over Earth isn't that bad. That they'd make it a utopia. That by the time Earth was, you know, used up of all its resources, nobody alive would remember a time before the Viltrumites were living there. So
yeah, all I can say is the conversation that she has, or that she's talking to Mark, it makes sense. Like, I feel like it was a really good way to explain it. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, she's just really good at manipulating people.
Yeah,
and I can see why other planets would be like, okay, it makes sense.
yeah, you got to think this isn't their first planet,
Right.
you know.
So they're very skilled at manipulating people and their situation.
But I do like how we get to hear their side instead of just beating the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, it's
that
a little
we get
more
to
insight.
actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A little bit more character to the Viltrumite people, and
Well, and I feel like there's a reason why Kirkman had a woman deliver this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still feel like you see a woman as more approachable, more honest, not as violent.
and maybe that's intentional.
Well, that's exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Maybe
feel
if she had longer hair and didn't look like a dude.
or maybe that's what all of their women look like.
Maybe.
Hey, maybe.
That's maybe why Nolan chose an Earth woman. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I feel like that was, purposeful.
Yeah. I liked her trying to prove herself by helping him stop the monster, and she just
Can I hurt the monster?
Can I hurt the monster? And you just see like this awesome panel on this page of her just flying straight through the thing's head.
Yep.
And it's like, oh,
there's the blood.
it's like done.
The violence is still there.
It's
Yeah.
still there.
Yep. You know, she helps get all the people safe, and she says, you know, she talks again to Mark and is like, so what do you say? You know, you're gonna help us take over this planet? Mark's like,
Nope.
nah,
I'm good.
not convinced. and they fight a little.
Her flips.
Yeah.
Should I say? Where
Yep.
she's just like, I'm mean.
And do you remember?
Bitch. Bitch switch.
And do you remember what she tells Mark after the fighting? About like where they leave it.
Oh, doesn't she give him just like an X amount of time?
Yeah, she says.
Again, another
there's another
timeline.
time frame. She says that a replacement is coming.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and you know what? And I remember saying earlier that they're not going to give him the 100 years.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, absolutely
we
not.
knew that someone else was coming. So actually, when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, here we go!" Like,
Sooner than later.
so then I was surprised that she said, "You know, someone's coming," but she still let him live.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, she said that resources were in other places right now, and that she doesn't, nobody's available to come to this planet. So you'll do for now, but we'll be back soon with the replacement because
and so
she's
what's
not
gonna
the
happen to
replacement.
him? Right, I know. So it's just a question to throw out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Is he going to have to fight this replacement?
Well, that's what she
And-
says. She says that when the replacement comes, be prepared to turn over Earth or you'll die
Yeah.
to the replacement. So then she takes off, and Alan runs into her. Well, he runs into the ship, and I love this. It was
Did they see me? Oh crap! They saw me.
yeah, it was this scene that Alan is just smiling and flying through space like da-da-da, and he's like, I wonder if what's her name? Oh, I always forget his girlfriend's name.
Yeah, but he's talking about marriage.
Yeah, he's like talking about like, oh, I wonder. I really love her. I wonder if she knows how much I love
He
her.
just reminds me of like this puppy dog, like
Yeah.
this giant bulldog
Brooding puppy.
dog.
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden the ship like almost hits him, and he's like, oh crap, did they see me? Oh crap, it stopped. Crap. And it's like, Anissa comes out and she starts talking about how he would end up, she's gonna put him in prison, and he gets the idea. He's like, oh.
Oh yeah. He
Prison.
thinks back to that conversation with Mark
Mm-hmm.
about Nolan. So he's like, "Ooh, pertinent information.
Yep.
Let's get it going." So
Yep. And so
so smart on his part.
Yep.
So smart.
His little smirk at the end when she's taking him.
Yeah. Oh no. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because even she notices how much stronger this alien race is, because I think, doesn't she say like,
yeah.
you hit me harder than my husband ever did, or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
crazy?
yeah.
And I was like,
Another peek into Viltrumites.
yeah.
Yep. We get a scene of Mark just like flipping out, and like he can't take it anymore, and he's so sick of it. He's found out that he's failing his class regardless of if he shows up anymore.
Yeah.
And he just flies out into the sky, and he's just like venting, and he just
Well, yeah, and because shortly before that too, his mom just had a big conversation with him about how you're not quitting school, you're staying in school, it's important. So he's feeling all this additive pressure, and
Yeah.
like I said, he finds out he's failing, so he's
Add
done.
Add it to the list.
Yep.
Of
Of
problems.
poor Mark's burdens.
This issue ends with a scene with Debbie and a scene with Nolan. Nolan's in prison. Debbie's on a date with Paul, and they both confess something. What is it?
The thing that upsets me the most is knowing that he never really loved me in the first place.
Yeah, and then
And just
you
that
get
grimacing look.
like she's like, it's painful to even say it out loud.
Yeah, and we've never
Like-
really seen her talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
She never did. The only person I think was that one
With
lawyer friend.
oh yeah, she did talk with the lawyer friend about it, and she talked to Art about it, but we never saw it. He just
Never
brought
saw it.
bottles over,
Exactly. So
And,
this is the first time we actually get to see and experience her pain.
Yeah. And Nolan kind of countering that pain by saying,
I miss my wife. I hate you. I knew it was gonna happen. I said, and she's gonna freaking take this piece of shit back. I'm just,
that's something that you've been saying since volume 1.
I was so mad. I can't even tell you. I lost it because I'm sure I wrote something terrible about that situation. But anyway, he misses his wife. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
And I mean, how can she not? She's got now both of his kids. She's she just found her happiness. She's getting back to her normal self, and then this fucker is gonna come ruin it all again.
Yep.
Make her throw everything out the window. I'm so mad.
I know.
That's okay.
He's back.
He's back
Again.
I knew it. Oh yeah, speaking of being back.
Duplicate's alive.
What?
Was that a nice surprise for you guys?
Excited. Yeah, no, really.
I didn't see that coming.
And it was one of those things where it's like, oh, duh, why don't you just hide one of your copies?
Yeah.
You know?
So smart.
Yeah.
So
So
smart.
that was great writing. I loved that. And it was like, oh, okay. So in this issue, we get to actually find out about Duplicate and a little bit of her brother.
Yeah, she brings him right away. She's afraid that he's going to do something stupid.
While Mark is training, he's actually starting his exercising, which is nice. We get to see they're starting to get a little worried about a Viltrumite coming, his replacement, so he's going to start working out. Him and Rex go on a little trip to go stop a burglary. These two guys named Dropkick and Fightmaster are trying to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, that's right.
I love the part when Mark is flying Rex and he said, you know how uncomfortable armpitting is?
Yep, that came back.
love
That was
that
a
part.
throwback to, like, wasn't he carrying Titan like that a long time ago? There's been a couple scenes where he's carrying people like that.
Yeah, always the fact that he's going to be flying somebody. So
Flying
it's
someone.
always-
So gay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
gay.
So while they're fighting these two, time thieves or whatever, I love that they're just talking about girls, and Mark's just kind of like letting him punch them, and he's like trying to hold back, and they're just talking about Eve and everything like that. And then Multiple shows up, which the last time you guys saw Multiple was in the Origins
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
throwback thing, and you get to see like, oh, Duplicate has a brother named Multiple, and
I like how you say it though, because
I know.
it like makes it great.
it's great. Duplicate, Multiple.
Yeah.
And Rex gets his ass kicked again, like normal. What else is new? I mean, that's all he's there for.
That's what he's in there for. Thanks, Rex.
There's always one.
But I always, I like to see him get beat up. What can I say?
Right?
I
Right?
do.
What happens when you cheat on your girlfriend?
And then Duplicate shows up. They kind of put a stop to all the fighting. Multiple goes,
Well, yeah, because Multiple thought that Rex had something to do with her death.
yes.
So he was really going after him, so Kate had to explain the situation, and obviously she's alive, and Rex is a good guy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Multiple is being sent to prison. And then that issue ends with Nolan being declared ready for execution.
Yep.
So the time has come for Nolan to die.
Well, first of all, how crazy is it that they let him heal and get strong enough just to kill him?
Yep, because it's like a what is it? It's like
It's gonna be a battle royale, like.
well, it's they believe so much in perfection that they don't think it's honorable to
Kill someone
to
who's
die. Yeah, to die weak. Like their whole thing is about being the strongest. So
They have, yeah. Now that he's fit to be executed,
yeah.
they're gonna throw down.
So, and then we get to the final issue of hardcover volume 4. This is issue 47. We get to see that Alan has made contact with Nolan. So there's a little
they quick-
exchange
they
of glance.
communicate
Yeah.
real quick,
So
yeah.
Alan and Nolan are in the same place. Nolan is being sent to be executed soon. So something's got to happen. Like, he's there. The pieces are in place. And that's the last we see of them. We also get to see a little bit of Titan. Mr. Liu, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but sure. This Asian old man with a metal jaw, is saying that Multiple worked for him and he wants him to be released from prison, and Titan basically says he'll do what he can to help out,
Yeah.
But it was cool seeing Titan again in that, mob boss position,
And I was like, oh yeah, he's still here.
One of the coolest scenes in this volume was you get to see Invincible fighting up close as he's like saying, "Hiya, take that!" And then Mark walks in, and William's the one wearing his costume,
Oh yeah, I
But
totally
with
forgot.
no pants.
but with no pants on.
I totally forgot about that.
Gay.
Yep, there it is. Had to drop it.
So great. And we also see Monster Girl training, and her getting frustrated. And it was just a great scene between the two of them, because she kind of like says how much she means to him because she notices that she's getting younger.
Yeah.
And she says that she doesn't want to lose him. So you actually get to see their relationship starting to really take a serious turn. And that was really great.
Well, yeah, well, because she, like you said, she's realizing since she's getting younger, you know, how much is at stake, and she can actually recognize her feelings, which I think is huge. And I'm like, yeah, Rudy.
Yeah, and I loved it. She was like, you age like a normal kid, right? Because I want to have a couple more years before people look at us weird because I'm getting younger. And it's like, oh, I really like them. Then we have Tether Tyrant and Magnamaniac, two of the villains from the fight with Titan. Remember he went in with that Battle Beast and all those other villains?
Like that crazy battle.
These are two of those villains. And they decided to rob a armored car. But Mark gets called on the scene, and Oliver goes with him, and he shows up, and like you were saying earlier, you're excited to see him in action.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to see our first little taste of that.
Yeah, he's peeking and checking things out.
He knocks a guy out. He knocks Magnamaniac out, and then kind of helps Mark a little bit with taking down Tether Tyrant.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that first epic punch, I was like, Oliver!
Yep.
I was so excited. And I was actually really glad to see him participate because, you know, I know he's half, say it for me. Viltrumite, thank you. Half Viltrumite. So he's got that, you know, in him, but to actually see him carry it out, I was really excited. And then again, I'm like, it's coming. And then the look as Invincible takes off and Oliver beneath him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I just love that he's
so
walking up to him.
the final,
know, it's such a good
it is cute. So the final scene of Hardcover Volume 4 is we get to see Cecil find out that Oliver has his powers. He's not too happy that was kind of kept from him, but he has to go take care of that. So he walks away to go take care of that, and he tells D.A. Sinclair to, you know, keep doing what you're doing. And we get to see that what D.A. Sinclair has been up to. And he has made what looks like a small army of Reanimen, all with the American flag all over them. So
And
he's
USA at the very top.
Oh, I never even noticed that. Right above their eye, it says USA. So yeah, he's working for the government, making more Reanimen. So,
and you know, and all throughout this,
And he actually looks like Cecil right there.
I was gonna say he mirrors Cecil's face.
with that scar and the jaw.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like the replacement.
And I feel like throughout this whole hardcover, we don't see Cecil have genuine or real conversations. Like, he really does take a back role in this, and I feel like they're preparing us for chaos when it comes to Cecil and things that are happening. So I just
There are definitely things brewing, and it's coming soon. That was issue 47. Kirkman makes a big deal out of variables of 25. Usually variables of 25 are a big deal.
so 50.
So 50 is coming up in like 3 issues.
That's awesome.
And 50 is a big deal. Obviously 75 was a cool one, and 100 was obviously a huge deal.
I remember when 100 came out,
And
because
how big of a deal we were all talking
oh my
about
gosh,
it and
yes, you
everything.
guys were all texting, going back and forth. Did you get to 100? Did you read it? And
Yeah.
you know, I rolled my eyes at the time, and now,
Well, yeah.
now I am excited.
Now
Yep.
you can understand.
So I'm really excited for you guys to read Volume 5. Normally off mic or whatever, I would show you Volume 5 and you take it home. But I want to show it to you now because you're going to see it, obviously, beforehand. So I want to know what you think of this. So the cover to Volume 5
Oh, he's so cute.
is Mark.
First of all, new costume. So this is obviously
Oh,
Mark
yeah.
because that's Oliver.
Yep.
And look at his but that's the symbol, isn't it?
That's Omni-Man. Omni-Man.
Yeah.
That's his-
So the cover of hardcover Volume 5 has Mark in a new costume. It's black and blue. And
Battle Beast.
Oh, yep. You're seeing like things on the cover.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Of course, that's the thing.
Yes.
And it doesn't give anything away, but yep, you're going to see some Battle Beast. And then Oliver has a little O on his chest.
Oh, I mean, and I love how it's showing reference to Robin.
Oh yeah, it
Like,
definitely has a little bit of a Robin
yeah.
thing. It does look like the Omni-Man O, but it is also Oliver O. Like,
Yeah.
it's great.
Oh, this is cool.
So fun stuff. Thank you both again for doing this. And I think that's everything. So yeah, you can remember, if you want to write into the podcast, you can write in at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. Go subscribe on iTunes, leave us a review. All that kind of stuff helps out. So yeah, see ya. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.